Good evening, I'm Rachel Ryan with this breaking news update. Police sources tell CBS 19 a female body has been discovered in Walnut Creek Park in Albemarle County. Now, in the last 20 minutes, law enforcement sources have confirmed the body is that of missing UVA student Hannah Graham. We're going to go live now to a press conference at Albemarle County Police Department. That is Chief Tim Longo speaking. Bob McDonald put his head in his hands and sobbed as the verdict was read aloud in federal court just a little after 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's the hottest ticket in town. UVA tips off against Michigan State at 10 p.m. And for many in New York City, getting a ticket wasn't easy. Look who I just found. Jody Kielbasa, the film festival director who just ran over from the premiere of Big Stone Gap. How was everything going for so far tonight? That's right, we are here at Washington Park where the snow continues to fall and sledders are making the most of it. Now, I am joined by a group who has been out on the hill coming down a couple times now. What do you think about all the snow?
It's awesome.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, having a good time.
And now you guys are using some different modes of getting down the hill. I see you've got laundry hampers, we've got a cardboard box over here. What seems to be working the best out of everything? So not only are we going to miss seeing you, I think a lot of other people are going to miss you very much as well. We both agree we would not cry.
No, I'm a little speechless after that one, though. That was really special, guys.
Not only does Brantley come to work every day at 3 and do all the shows, but he spends so many hours of his own time talking to kids. Big part of the community. We just want to say thank you, and we will miss you. And that was something that was really shocking from the article, was this girl after this alleged attack was encouraged by friends maybe not to go to the police, not to go to the hospital because they were fearful about what would happen to them socially on grounds. Is that something that, an attitude that you found at other schools when you were doing this article for research, or is this something that stood out at UVA? After 7 hours of deliberation, the jury in Nelson County came back with a guilty verdict. Randy Taylor guilty of first-degree murder in the death of 17-year-old Alexis Murphy. They also found him guilty of abduction with the intent to defile. Now, the jury is back in closed doors right now. They are working on sentencing for Randy Taylor. He faces life in prison. The minimum sentence he could receive is 40 years. It was an emotional day in court after they announced the guilty verdict. The mother of Alexis Murphy spoke to the jurors before they went back for sentencing, saying the last 10 months have been living hell for their family. At this point, Randy Taylor looks over to his attorney and says, I want to get out of here. I don't want to be here. He stands up immediately and starts to walk out of the courtroom. That's when several deputies with the Nelson County Sheriff's Department descend on him, put him in handcuffs, and take him out of the courtroom. Now, of course, Alexis Murphy's mother, Laura, still on the stand. Everyone is crying at this point. She finishes up talking to the jurors about her daughter and how 17-year-old Alexis would be graduating this month from Nelson County High School. Like I said, the jury is right now considering sentencing guidelines for Randy Taylor, but he has been found guilty of first-degree murder and abduction with the intent to defile. Reporting live in Nelson County, Rachel Ryan, CBS 19 News. As he left the courthouse this afternoon, Bob McDonald did not make any official comment, but he did have this to say.
All I can say is my trust remains in the Lord. And,
Are you planning to appeal this case?
of course.
Bob's lead defense attorney, Hank Asbell, told me he was very disappointed with the verdict. Maureen McDonald was tearful but more composed than her husband during the court verdict in the courtroom. Now, she left the courthouse separately from Bob McDonald. Each had several children with them. Her attorney said they were shocked by the verdict. Now, Bob McDonald was found guilty on 11 of a possible 13 charges. The 2 he was found not guilty on were related to bank loan applications and making false statements. Now, Maureen McDonald was found guilty on 9 charges. She was found not guilty of making false statements on loans and for obstruction. The lead prosecutor in the case, Michael Dry, did not make any comments leaving the courthouse this afternoeen, but the lead FBI investigator in this case had this to say about corruption in the Commonwealth.
I think this case sends an important message. The FBI will engage and engage vigorously to any credible allegation of corruption. Public corruption is the FBI's top criminal investigative priority, and cases like this are extremely important to our agency and to the community.
Now, both of the McDonalds face several decades in prison. Federal court is a little bit different than regular criminal court. A sentence is not up to the jury to recommend. It's all up to the judge. A sentencing date for Bob and Maureen McDonald has been set for January 6th. In the meantime, the former governor of Virginia will have to meet with a probation officer. Reporting live in Richmond, Rachel Ryan, CBS 19 News.
Rachel, real quickly, I'm curious, what does this verdict might mean for state reform on political ethics?
Well, this is interesting and it's historical because this is the first time a governor or former governor has ever been accused of a crime, much less convicted. We've already seen one General Assembly session pass without any real reform to ethics. So it'll be interesting to see next session if anything comes from this. But I've talked to many legal experts here in Richmond who say you better believe a lot of state politicians are going through their text messages and emails right now. Now, we also know the victim in the article, Jackie, is being represented by the Central Virginia Legal Aid Society. Now, our legal analyst Scott Goodman joins us now in the studio with some insight on what all of this could mean. It seems like everyone is lawyering up, trying to protect themselves. Is this going to come down to a lawsuit, perhaps? Or such a shame for people that are survivors of sexual assault? A lot of people hoping that this would open a really honest dialogue about what could be done to improve things.
It's very bad. I can imagine if there's a rape case next week in court, I'm sure the prosecutors are holding their breath because this is not the kind of environment you would like to have to try a rape case in when your case is based on the credibility of the rape victim. And that's a shame because somebody who really was raped or really has been raped or will be raped in the future could have their story questioned simply because of this fiasco with the Rolling Stone magazine story.
All right, well, we will continue to keep you posted as things come in. Of course, still waiting on a statement from University Administrator Scott. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's get right to it. Here's a look at the latest election results that they're coming in right now. This one is still too close to call. Mark Warner with a slight lead over Ed Gillespie. That one, who would have thought? Alexis Murphy's mother took the stand right after the verdict was announced, talking about how Alexis would have been a senior this year at Nelson County High School, breaking down into tears as she talked about how she would have graduated this May. That's when things got very emotional in the courtroom. What did they say? Did they say anything about Alexis and how they'll be remembering her? Now, you just heard from Charlottesville Police Chief Tim Longo and Albemarle County Police Chief Sellers. They say the investigation into missing UVA student Hannah Graham is now a death investigation. A little before noon this afternoon, human remains were found in an abandoned home off of Old Lynchburg Road. Now, right now, Old Lynchburg Road is shut off between Plank Road and Red Hill Road. They say they think those could be the remains of Hannah Graham. Chief Longo saying a tough phone call was made to John and Sue Graham this afternoon. Of course, those are the parents of the missing second-year student. Now, those remains found in the abandoned home by Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office. They have been sent to Richmond to the chief medical examiner for a cause of death and for an official identification of the body. Now, they say this was found on Old Lynchburg Road, and police are asking anyone who lives in the area who may have seen suspicious activity around the time Hannah Graham went missing or in the last 5 weeks to give Albemarle County Police a call. They say if you see any suspicious activity or if you saw Jesse Matthew in that area, to call Albemarle County Police. Now, Jesse Matthew is the Charlottesville man that has been charged with abduction in the case of missing UVA student Hannah Graham. He remains behind bars at the Albemarle County Regional Jail. Now, state police have also confirmed he has been forensically linked to missing Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington, who went missing 5 years ago yesterday. Her remains were found on Anchorage Farm 3 months later. Now, Anchorage Farm is 5 miles away from Walnut Creek Park, where the body was discovered today. Now, that is the latest that we have here. Once again, just to sum up, human remains found in an abandoned home off of Old Lynchburg Road. Chief of Police Tim Longo saying they could be the remains of Hannah Graham, the missing UVA student who has been missing for 5 weeks today. She was last seen on the downtown mall with Jesse Matthew, who of course has been charged with her disappearance. Anyone who has seen any suspicious activity around Old Lynchburg Road or seen Jesse Matthew in that area is asked to call Albemarle County Police. For the latest, stay with the Newsplex online at newsplex.com, and we'll be live back at 7 with the latest. Dan, the Virginia Film Festival kicks off with the sold-out world premiere of the film Big Stone Gap, a movie about a small town in Virginia, shot entirely in Virginia. You can see the line behind me with people waiting to get into the Paramount for the screening later this evening. Now, earlier today, over on UVA grounds at Frayland's Museum of Art, we spoke with Richard Roundtree, the star of the 1970s iconic film Shaft. He's in town for a screening of that film that's happening tonight as well. Now, coinciding with the film festival is an exhibit at the Frayland Museum of Art that features Gordon Parks, the same man that directed the film Shaft. His black and white photographs will be on display during that exhibit through December. Now, here's what Richard Roundtree had to say about working with Gordon Parks.
It's hard to describe him in so many words. He was, for all intents and purposes, my second father. He put me on the map. Unbeknownst to me at the time, he molded that character pretty much after himself. And it was years later when I actually realized that I was doing Gordon Parks rather than doing Shaft.
Now, Richard Roundtree will be at Colbert Theater tonight for the screening of Shaft. That's at 8 p.m. Meanwhile, here on the Downtown Mall at the Paramount Theater, Big Stone Gap is also premiering at 8 p.m. tonight in front of a sold-out crowd. Several cast members from that film are also in Charlottesville for this premiere, including Ashley Judd, Jenna Elfman, and Patrick Wilson. So we will have more from them coming up tonight at 10 and 11. There's also the opening night gala happening over at the Jefferson Theater much later tonight. So there's a ton of events happening over the next 4 days. The film festival runs through Sunday. For a full list of tickets and a guide of all the events taking place, just head to our web channel at newsplex.com.